Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check this out. Another Federal Reserve governor is leaning into digital asset innovation, stable coins, RippleNet. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on TikTok, YouTube, or Twitter at the top of the screen for exclusive content. Right now, $922 billion market cap for crypto. It is up 3.2%. Bitcoin, 18,200 plus. Just over $1,400 for Ethereum, up 11.4% on the 7-day. 5.1 of that in the last 24 hours. Tether says they have a $63.3 billion market cap. We'll keep an eye on it. XRP, 37 cents. We're up 6.5% on the 7-day. Who's upset about it? Not this guy. Have you checked out Ledger Nano? How about Ledger Stacks? The new Ledger Stacks, created by the innovator, the creator of the iPod. Look, I pre-ordered mine. If you haven't pre-ordered yours, I don't know what's happening. But I tell you what, I'm very excited about this. The link underneath the video. Check it out. See if it's right for yourself. Let's get started, ladies and gentlemen. Crypto exchange BitTrue. Somebody give Michael Branch a follow. This guy's incredible. Crypto exchange BitTrue has added a new XRP trading pair. This time it is to Toko and the native asset Tocoin. So it says here, global, Indonesia's pioneer blockchain company backed by its local government. So another trading pair for XRP on that platform. Binance, the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, has received regulatory approval from the Swedish Financial Supervisory Authority to operate as a financial institution to manage and trade in virtual currencies. Now, I think this is a positive move, obviously, for CZ and Binance, because we know that the United States is coming for exchanges. Now, I know Binance, and then there's Binance US. I'm not confused. But what I'm happy about for CZ here is that around the globe, he's starting to get his legs, regulatory legs, anchored in the ground. Because if he wants to have a chance to survive, we know that they have we've seen reports that said Binance has bled more than $12 billion worth off of the platform in just the last couple weeks. So this, I think, is going to help shore up some of that around the world, and we'll see what shakes in the United States. Remember, we're still waiting for Gary Gensler to sue a U.S. exchange or two. Keep an eye out for that. Silvergate hit with another class action lawsuit. This is Barry Silbert's baby right here. Remember when he bought Silvergate? If you don't know, that's exactly what happened. And we know that there's been huge infighting between Genesis and the Winklevoss twins and Barry Silbert over billions of dollars. We also know that the systemic fallout from FTX is obviously tied to Silvergate, because there's an enormous amount of funds that were funneled through Silvergate. And apparently at the time, legally, allegedly, we don't know what the manner of those transactions were in their entirety. But we do look to this to keep more information coming in so we can all find out just how systemic the FTX collapse becomes. This right here is CTO. Yes. Chief Technology Officer David Schwartz here wrote that the current rules for holding Flare for subsequent airdrops provide absolutely no incentive not to sell Flare now. You lose nothing if you sell, he says. And we covered this in his thread extensively in this morning's video. Please go watch it there. But there is no 85% is what he also talks about the 15% distribution and the 85%. It is quite a remarkable thread. You should go watch it. However, I will caveat, he is still very bullish on the actual token and the network, Flare Networks, because he did say that he was buying it. So not financial advice from me, and I'm sure not from him either. But there his digital perspectives are. So 62% of institutional investors in digital assets had grown their allocations in the past 12 months. I'm going to give that one more time. See, I'm stacking my pennies next to their dollars. That's one of my core tenets of investing. 62% of institutional investors in digital assets had grown their allocations in the past 12 months. That's good, because I've been trying to do the same damn thing. It says only 12% decreased their investment in cryptocurrencies and 58% have intentions to purchase more coins in the next 3 years. That's a pretty remarkable little layout for percentages there for me. Not for everybody, but for me. This here is the genius Lemon Bayard from Hedera Hashgraph, and he calls it himself. This is the moment we're in. Oh, it feels good hearing somebody like him talk about it. Shout out to Lemon Bayard.
But why is it so undervalued?
Okay, let me give an analogy.
Okay.
And I don't want to answer your question.
No.
Because I don't want to get in trouble and hurt the project.
And I'm not saying...
I do want to answer.
Yeah.
In the late 90s,
yes,
we had this web thing that had come along.
Yes.
Everybody starts a web company.
Yes.
And they, I like pets, I'll make a pets.com. I don't have a business plan. I don't actually know what I'm going to do with it, but I'm going to go to VCs and get millions of dollars from VCs because I'm going to have a website and web is cool.
Yes.
Okay.
And web succeeds. All web succeeds.
Also
you
web
can't go
succeeds.
Wrong. Yeah.
So some of those, on paper are billion-dollar companies and they have nothing but pets.com or a domain and literally nothing. They don't even have a business plan. They don't know what they're going to do. And there are two kids in their dorm room and this is the billion-dollar company.
Yes.
Then there were also mixed in some little companies like Amazon.com that said, we're going to think carefully about how to build something that actually changes the world. This is what people need. We're going to build something that makes people's lives better, and we're going to build a company around it. We'll name it Amazon.com.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe they were worth a lot to the VCs too. So we have all these people worth a lot to the VCs. People are gambling on them. Then you had the dot-com crash, and the chaff got blown away, and what we were left with was the wheat.
Yes.
And that, I think, we see rounds of that in our industry, and our industry is going to see more of that. We're still in our infancy. It's still the Wild West. There's still silliness going on.
Yeah.
But at some point, the real ones will survive. The non-real things will go away.
I think you can't say that any better than that gentleman just said it right there. Shout out to Lehman Bayard from Hedera Hashgraph right there. Now, what I want to add to that is really the understanding that I believe that some of those rising up from the ashes of this crypto winter and this flushing out period of what's real and what isn't as far as projects and real use case application is I want to remind everybody it's not just about private companies, as you'll see in just a second here. This from Ripple General Counsel here lays it down pretty good. Boy, I tell you, shout out to Stuart Alderati, boy. You talk about somebody that can say it. Recently highlighted a part played by the U.S. Securities Exchange Commission in a recent crypto contagion triggered by FTX implosion. And by the way, while we read this, remember, Gary Gensler awarded a broker-dealer's license to FTX. Was that because they were the second largest Democratic donor? Because it certainly wasn't because Gary Gensler did the due diligence on FTX as a company. That we know for sure. Congress should examine the financial regulator SEC's policies that might have contributed to the contagion. Alderati believes some of these policies were beyond the SEC's jurisdiction. He made these remarks. He said, I laid out a few thoughts today. And he says here, basically, the need for congressional oversight of the SEC after the collapse of BlockFi and FTX. He asserted that the SEC is one of the major reasons why BlockFi got entangled with FTX and consequently collapsed with the bankrupt crypto exchange. This is all spot on. BlockFi had to look to FTX to support its financial stand in an attempt to meet a $100 million settlement demand by the SEC following the charges brought on the crypto lender. Alderati had made similar claims last November. Due to its resulting relationships with FTX, BlockFi filed for bankruptcy 2 weeks after FTX, citing its exposure to exchange as the major trigger of its liquidity crisis. The crypto lender's collapse has resulted in losses in consumer funds over $1 billion owed to creditors and $30 million balance yet to be paid to the SEC in the settlement. Congress should keep the SEC in check. Alderati mentioned that the SEC does not have the right to enact new laws for itself, and it does not possess as much power over the crypto industry as it claims to have. He then highlighted that it is Congress's duty to oversee the SEC, make sure that the watchdog is kept in check according to Legislative Organization Act of 1946. California lawyer pointed out the fact that SEC's policies in crypto scene have been frowned upon by several pundits, consumers within the space. And it says here, asserting that the agency has more interest in exercising its power than adhering to sound policy. Ripple Chief Executive Officer Brad Garlinghouse agreed with these claims and highlighted them on his Twitter handle as well. So look, all of this to say is there is a real problem here, right? There is a very real problem here. But I'll tell you this. When it comes to what Lehman Bayard said and about crossing this threshold that we're in and about how you're going to find use cases that go away because they don't do anything and all of this, I agree with all of that. But it's not going to be just these private companies that rise out of the ashes, ladies and gentlemen. It will be countries and their central banks and their governments that do it too, because they're going to control this space from the point that you enter this space. Don't believe it. It's still true. Whether we're talking about CBDCs or stable coins. And here we see the United Kingdom is now planning a launch to its own stable coin, a digital pound, according to Andrew Griffith, an economic secretary to the UK Treasury. Now, they have made it clear they're going to be a world leader in a crypto hub. And this is what you need to know. With the UK increasing crypto adoption, the launch of a stablecoin appears to be an effort to further boost the adoption of crypto in the region. Andrew Griffith stated that the UK government has long been considering the establishment of a regime for wholesale use. Do you hear that? A regime for wholesale use for the payment purposes of stablecoins. For wholesale use, United Kingdom's British pound stablecoin is on its way. According to BBC, the launch of this backed stablecoin, British pound stablecoin, may be coming sooner than expected. How soon could it be? Well, as Griffith told the Treasury Select Committee that public consultation on the attributes of a digital pound would be launched in the coming weeks. Then this morning, if you haven't seen it, we dove into it deeply here. Federal Reserve Vice Chair for Supervision, Randall K. Quarles, who was against crypto and stablecoins and the rest of it just a short time ago, is now saying that he believes it could be cheaper and faster and the rest of it when it comes to cross-border using a stablecoin network. Well, isn't that interesting? Now we have another Federal Reserve official, this time a Federal Reserve Governor, Michelle Bowman, says while cryptocurrency activities gain poise, significant risk. This is what it says right here. Let me get you to it. The Fed and other banking agencies will continue to focus in this area in light of significant risks these activities may pose, but the bottom line is that we do not want to hinder innovation. The bottom line is that we do not want to hinder innovation. As regulators, we should support innovation. Can someone send this to Goldman Gensler, please? And recognize that the banking industry must evolve to meet consumer demand, the Fed governor continued. And I'd like to add, and we should support innovation from the regulatory sector and not actually do the bidding of the legacy firms and from the regulatory chair, which is the equivalent of regulatory capture, Goldman Gensler. Fed governor goes on, Bowman says here, by inhibiting innovation, we could be pushing growth in this space to the NGOs, which is the non-government sector or non-bank sector, leading much less transparency and potential financial stability risk. We are thinking through some of these issues and what regulatory approach could look like, she opined. I bet you have. And could it have anything to do with this? Maybe this is where the change in the current and the tone is coming from the Fed all of a sudden these days. Former Ripple advisor Michael S. Barr will supervise the Federal Reserve? Hang in there, ladies and gentlemen. This is more fun to watch than any sport I ever followed in my life. This is remarkable. I couldn't be any more excited about where all of this is going, and I have no idea where it all stops, but it's the most fascinating thing I've ever watched in my life. It's not financial advice from me or anyone else, but watch out. Here comes the Fed. I'll catch all of you on the next one.